everyone. This is David Ellis, and I'm here with Major Hangary once again for UCM VIP. And today we're going to be doing tips and tricks number 8. And today we are going to be talking about the chakras. Chakras from Muladhara to Sahasrara. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be giving you the significance, the tips and tricks to working with chakras, and exactly what they use for, how to contact them, etc., and so on. And so before we begin, Amir, speak to these people.
Thank you, David. Ladies and gentlemen, my warmest greetings to you. I would like to express our gratitude for your valuable time. Thank you for your support and being here with us. Today we're going to talk about the chakras. What they are, what their nature is, what their function is, what do they represent, what do they do for us, their effects in general existence and well-being, some misconceptions about this that are common, that have spread across the internet. And hopefully we'll be able to provide some useful information for you towards your general health, your spiritual strength, and altogether your wellness. So this is going to be an interesting one. David, let's jump right into it.
Okay, so first of all, let's get to definitions. The word chakra means wheel. That's what it means. And the reason why they say wheel is because it's supposed to describe the circulation of energy and what it's supposed to look like to a clairvoyant, so to speak. And so it's a little mini vortex of energy that's supposed to be inside the body, which connects the soul body to the physical body. The word chakra does not mean energy center, it means wheel. Okay, so here are the things that we need to first of all get out of the way. Depending on what system or modality you're using for healing or meditation or whatever the case may be, you could be working with either 7 main chakras or many different chakras that are all over your body. That's the first thing that you have to come to terms with. So we have, in our normal spiritual science, 7 main chakras that we work with. They are Muladhara, which is the root chakra, Swadhisthana, which is in your spleen or spine, Manipura, which is in your stomach, Anahata, which is in your heart area, Vishuddha chakra, which is in your throat, Ajna chakra, which is in your forehead, pineal gland, so to speak, and Sahasrara, which is in the crown of your head. And I just said it in Sanskrit, but you guys get the general idea, and they're pretty much overlaid with colors and so on, which we'll get into. And so before we get into that, actually we're going to do the colors right now. We're going red, orange, yellow, green, blue, magenta, and indigo, I believe. Yes, or indigo and magenta. Okay, and so that's usually the color scheme that we have, and it closely resembles a rainbow for a reason. Before we go on, Mary, you can jump in here because we could talk on this for hours.
Yes, indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of colors associated with these vortices of energy is very interesting. So, with the example of a rainbow, which is breaking up the visual spectrum into its constituent parts, we have different wavelengths or different frequencies. So starting from 400 nanometers going all the way to 700 nanometers. So this is what the visual spectrum is. Anything above and below these wavelengths is imperceivable to us. But then the idea of different frequencies, from moving a little bit slower, which would be the red spectrum, to the violet, which is moving a lot faster. So in terms of looking at these vortices as a wheel going around, the speed of the red is slower as we move up in the chakra system. The rotational frequency, the speed of rotation is increasing. So this is basically telling us that we have access to different, quote unquote, flavors of manifestation, flavors of energy. So depending on which one of these flavors or base tones we use, we can create different things or tune into and correspond with different effects in reality, physical reality and other aspects of reality that are non-physical.
Mhm.
So it's a very, very interesting correspondence to the visual spectrum of light. Then comes in the whole idea that then first there's sound, and then there comes light, and then comes the rest of creation. So light is involved. Light as in something that radiates, that travels at the constant speed of light. But then again, we're looking at extra physical properties of energy. Consciousness most certainly comes into this. So we can look at this as different specific frequencies of consciousness that interact with physical and non-physical reality. And then, of course, depending on different problems that may occur with these vortices, there may be then corresponding problems with health or spiritual issues. So it's a fantastic idea. Now, the chakras, they most definitely are multidimensional.
Mhm.
So it is not just a physical thing. It is not just an electromagnetic thing. It is not just of the nature of light. It encompasses everything that is consciousness. So there are multidimensional centers, vortices of energy. If you want to imagine a vortex, imagine mixing coffee in a cup, and as the rotational speed goes up, you have a little drain, a little vortex forming, and these are what these are. So that can then start moving and traveling with your consciousness. Fantastic, fantastic phenomena, and very interesting topic.
Okay, before we move on, I want to give you guys a key to remembering functions and so on. So the funny thing about chakras is that a lot of people don't realize that it didn't matter what part of the world you were on. Almost every spiritual system on earth knew that these vortices existed in the human body. Would you like to know how they knew? Because we have linguistic variants coming down the ages that tell us that people knew what they were. So as an example, let's go for the base, and we say that the root chakra was called base, the base. And as Amer said, each one of these chakras has a corresponding feeling to it, a flavor to it. So as an example, when your red chakra is stimulated, you will either get sexually aroused or you'll get extremely aggressive, and it has to do with the gonads and so on. So the chakras have a very interesting quality, and the higher you go up, the more subtle it is. So you remember when we used to call people base? You're a very base human being. It means your head was down in your gonads. So we said that people were base, as an example. And so if you moved up from there to the spleen and area where the support system for the body is, you'll find that you used to call people spineless. That's a linguistic variant that tells you where that chakra is. You are spineless. It has to do with issues of support, whether it be financial, family support, and so on. And things tended to go wrong depending on where it is. It's a loose association, but you get what I mean. And we go higher up and we say the solar plexus chakra, and we said you are yellow-bellied, or you're a yellow-bellied coward, because that chakra is usually associated with yellow, and it's also associated with issues of power and powerlessness. You guys get the idea? The linguistic variants told you what the chakra was doing. You are broken-hearted, you are cold-hearted, you are stone-hearted, and a hearter. This is the green chakra. You had the green eye of jealousy, as an example. You did not have it in your heart, good intentions for people. In the blue area, you're all choked up. You're all choked up inside, meaning that you lacked the ability to express yourself. And so when you got really, really angry, or you're in many in big states of grief and you have that ball, that invisible ball that's in your throat, that stops you from expressing yourself. That invisible ball that you guys know what I'm talking about. Kind of like you have butterflies in the stomach. The higher up you go, the more subtle it becomes. Butterflies in your stomach from, let's say, an exam as an example. And then you go up higher and then you tell somebody they're blind. They can't see past their nose. You're blind. You can't see anything. That would be your third eye chakra. When you say somebody's blind, you don't mean that they're physically blind. You mean that their perception of the subtle states is lacking. Their ability to discern what is in front of them is lacking. And the last one, which is Sahasrara, you are actually telling people that you have no head. Your head is not on. When you tell somebody their head isn't on, it means that their connection to the divine is compromised. So whether you want to refer to it as the 1,000 wives of Solomon, which are the 1,000 nodes in your head, Solomon did not actually have 1,000 wives. For those of you who read that literally, yeah, no, he didn't have actually 1,000 wives. The 1,000 wives of Solomon are the 1,000 nodes that make up your brain. And so the chakra system worked in unison with each other. So one chakra does not operate independently of others, which is why things go wrong when you don't pay attention. So let's say a chakra is inverted commas blocked. I hate using that term because that's not technically correct. You unblock it by the chakra above and below it. That is usually the smarter way to go about it. You don't just try to, well, my heart is blocked, I'm going to just attack the heart. No, that is not a good idea. I'm just giving you guys tips and tricks as we go along. But we have other mappings to go through. So I'm going to pass the ball once again to Amir because this is going to get very interesting for those of you who are anatomists. Go ahead, Amir.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, the same way, let's look at light in physical reality. We don't have boundaries between red and orange. It is a continuous spectrum. So, and the wavelength changes, incorporating every single infinite number between, let's say, 400 and 700 nanometers. Mm-hmm. It's continuous. That's my point. Mm-hmm. So again, these wheels, these vortices of energy are interlocking. They penetrate each other. So there would be effects of the root chakra in the heart. There would be effects of the solar plexus in the third eye. So as my esteemed colleague very correctly stated, they all work in unison as a mechanism. So one malfunctioning is going to have a negative effect on the functions of the other centers. So there are general zones where we may choose to say, okay, a certain area of the energetic system, we say this is red. Now, when does the red turn into orange? They're close. They're approximated very closely in the body anyway. But we can just think of these illusory boundaries or where the center of each wheel is. We can do that, kind of making it discrete, cutting them into different zones. So absolutely, yes, they're mechanisms of interaction with reality, both physical and non-physical. So the vitality, health, and fine-tuning of these centers are very important. So then we may then, as a next subject of discussion, move into malfunctions of these quote-unquote discrete centers, discrete vortices, called chakras or wheels. So what would be the effect of a malfunctioning, out of balance root chakra, overt sexuality, overt aggression? If it's not energized enough, quite the other side, lack of sexuality, becoming asexual, and not having the ability to come to passion and rage, even if it means your life is on the line. Mm-hmm. So these would be things that you can perceive very powerfully once you start practicing different healing modalities. And I would like to say a great variety of modalities do work with these energy centers. From ancient Egyptian medicine, moving forward to the Western approaches to healing and medicine, native peoples, shamanic practices, coming into Eastern Asian, Qigong, Tai Chi, and most recently Reiki incorporate this. Of course, acupuncture and acupressure focus on these vortices of energy purely because of their function and their effects on health. So we're dealing with something very real. Now, can you make a framework and put it on the shape of the body and say, oh yes, your heart chakra absolutely is here? Well, no, that's not true. The same way our anatomy is slightly different. Well, it could raise up and down, maybe a little to the side. That's not important as long as it functions correctly.
Yes, absolutely. When we're talking about health and healing modalities, it would be useful to make a little bit of a mapping system. So our chakra system is basically mapped onto what you call your endocrine system. And I'll explain to you why we say that, because everybody knows that the third eye is your pineal gland, or so to speak. But the pituitary gland would be your crown. And so you know the function of something, and obviously the gonads is your Muladhara chakra, which is the red chakra, and so on. But what about the thymus, the hypothalamus? What about these things? Okay, you understand your adrenals as an example. You know what these are? Well, if you're a healer, it would be very good for you to study the endocrine system and its function. Whether you're an energy healer or not, you should study the endocrine system and its function, because that's where a lot of things go wrong, horribly wrong. And so the endocrine system has a very interesting function about it. It's your body's information system. And so what happens when you have wrong information happening can range from autoimmune diseases to a very bad headache. Wrong information being pumped in different places. So for those of you who don't know what the endocrine system is your hormonal system. So Mer just mentioned as an example, you got the root chakra, and oversexuality will cause a problem. It absolutely will. And if that chakra is not functioning properly, you can turn asexual, means without sex, you have no desire for sex. It shuts off, frigidity, impotence, etc. And so the key to all of these things, as is the key to everything in nature, is balance. So I'm going to drop another bomb inside here. For those of you who know what caduceus is, please Google it. Caduceus, it's your medical symbol. It's two snakes twined around a staff. And so that snake energy that you see there is supposed to describe the path of energy that runs up and down your spine and through the chakras, or your endocrine system, so to speak. It is the energy path, the information path. So the crown is inversely and expressly connected to the root. It operates as a circuit. Which is where I suspect the whole idea of a blocked chakra came from. The chakra is never blocked. It is malfunctioning. A blocked chakra is equivalent to one of your major glands in your body going out of whack. That is certain death for the most part, okay? Or suddenly a shortened life. So it's still functioning. It's just working a little bit off kilter. You guys get that idea, right? And so what caduceus was supposed to represent was the evenly balanced functioning of the chakras from the crown, the head of the staff, all the way back down to the root. So, guys, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, knew about the chakras. He absolutely did. And due to this fact, he created a system and he actually put it in front of your face. And I'm talking to the doctors out there. He put it in front of your face, right there. See the little two snakes with the staff? That's what I'm talking about. And so any kind of approach to healing, which doesn't take necessarily these functions into consideration, is you're treating symptoms. You're not really treating the cause, because there is a belief that all diseases, doesn't matter what they are, have their origin in psychosomatic disturbance. Comes from the spirit, goes into the soul, what do you call it, the spirit or the soul of the body, or you interchange those terms, and it manifests themselves into the body. There is a system of thought that believes that this is the case. So that cancer should not be a surprise. You should know that it's coming. Things are not operating correctly. And so the reason why we're doing these tips and tricks is because the best prevention against disease is to know thyself. So if your dreams are telling you something, listen to your dreams before it hits the body. If you're feeling the malaise on you, listen to those before it hits the body. The other reason why we're doing this sort of discussion on the chakras is because when people put hooks into you and you need to do cord cutting, guess where the hooks are going? Where do you think they're siphoning energy from? An energy center, more like. Before I go on, Amir, over to you.
Thank you, David. So what you just mentioned is really amazing. So our ancestors who basically put forth the idea of these chakras, they were very aware of human anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
A good example would be the people of ancient Egypt. They had advanced medicine. They did autopsies. They knew the body very, very in very immense detail. There's evidence of them performing brain surgery and the patient surviving for a significant time after the procedure. They were very advanced in knowing that certain organs performed certain tasks beyond just the physical. So each organ has a resonant frequency, for example. Now let's think of the energy of valor, the energy of fortitude, moral fortitude.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, say, the solar plexus, your strength to stand up for yourself. So David mentioned hooks and cords that drain energy would go into these energy centers. Well, a very common place for energy harvesting to be connected to the body is the solar plexus. Mm. Now, anybody who's practiced cord cutting would agree on this fact that this is very, very common. So energy is taken from the center that is responsible for your fortitude. You become cowardly. You will not stand up for yourself or for what is right. Mm-hmm. And that makes you even a better subject for more harvesting. Or for example, during heartbreak, the heart is attacked. Energy is drained from the heart. And the energetic flavor of this would be sorrow or betrayal, mm-hmm. known as heartbreak. Mm-hmm. And the effects of this kind of energy harvesting on the heart can be fatal, without a doubt. People die of heartbreak. Mm-hmm. Everything is good, nutrition is good, they're breathing the same clean air, drinking the same pure water. And what do you know, after a certain time, after a traumatic event, the body stops functioning. Mm-hmm. You've put a stop to the circulation of the heart's energy. So these do have very real effects on health. Or let's look at another effect. I mean, we're living in a world where trauma is very common. None of us are free, none of us are exempt. Now, traumatic events can mess up the whole function of your immune system and your hormones. So one of the effects, as David very correctly mentioned, would be triggering autoimmune disease. So if you're a victim of aggression and violence, this can absolutely switch on the genes that are responsible for a whole range of autoimmune conditions that are awful. Now, can these be switched back off? Personally, I believe so. They go up and down during the week or during the year. If you're under more stress, they become significantly worse. If you relax, they become significantly better and go into remission. So these energies and their effect on the energy centers, i.e. the chakras, also the corresponding physical organs, the network of nerves that are connected to them. So, I mean, we have to look at this topic in a holistic way. There are aspects in the physical and there are aspects in the astral and energetic realms. So holistic healing would be something very beneficial if there's some sort of a energetic malfunction in the chakras, in this kind of energy system.
Yes, I want to actually address something you said, Amir, because a lot of people, things go over their head. There are a whole bunch of people going to be watching this broadcast who have kids. They're going to be women who have kids, and they haven't realized that the USB port they used to charge their baby was the umbilical cord. That's how you charge that baby with life. You jump-started it with the umbilical cord. And so when the baby came out, it was the umbilical cord was unplugged. And guess where that umbilical cord went into the human body? And so when you're talking about hooks being placed into the solar plexus chakra, there is a definite correspondence with regard to the way this works. So now imagine an umbilical cord charging a baby into life. And imagine a cord, a hook, taking the life, the valor out of somebody piece by piece, because we said earlier on, the chakras are connected. So let's say I drain your ability to fight. Every other chakra now has to feed this chakra. And I'm draining the rest of you out. And guys, look, we have spoken enough about this concept of systems of domination and control and having you on a treadmill, energy harvesting you. And it doesn't matter, and we're going to be speaking about it 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 100 years from now. I will still be speaking. I will regard it and speak about this. Because get off the energy harvesting wheel. You are literally letting people drain the living, well, life out of you. And the news media, the legacy media, as an example, anything that does not support life and information and does not give to you, takes away from you. Simple. And it's kind of funny because if you let the news rule your mind, they put a hook in your head. If you've let your mother, I actually heard from a young lady this week who had an issue with her mother, right? And she said to me, David, why didn't you tell me my mother put a hook inside my solar plexus? I'm like, because it's your mother. Where else is she going to put a hook? She's also going to put a hook inside your heart as well. That will drain real fast. So family members will put hooks inside your solar plexus and your heart. Definitely they will. Your banking system, your lending institutions, whatever, they have your spine dragging out of your body. They do. And people who are salacious, who are promiscuous, who are abusive, will put hooks inside, well, literally and figuratively, inside your gonads, inside the root chakra, and drain you, like succubi. A succubus is not just an entity. There are a whole bunch of human succubi, running around out there looking to drain you. Unfortunately, I have to admit, That's a lot of men as well. They run around and they look for women to sleep with, not because they care about them and it's an exchange of energy, but because they want to drain the woman to build their confidence. That is direct energy harvesting. Similarly, and I will do it on both sides of the fence, a woman who is inverted commas a gold digger will sleep with a man to build her financial spinal support system. Do you see how that works in society? Tips and tricks, guys, to build her financial support system. If I sleep with this man, he might like me, he might marry me, I will be taken care of for the rest of my life. If you have that thinking, you are a succubus. Similarly, on the men's side, if I sleep with this woman, I'll feel more like a man, and then I'll be like I will have more energy in my solar plexus, and I'll be full of valor and so on. Listen, sleeping with somebody never made you brave and didn't give you valor. All it ever did was drain your own self, because in the energy harvesting in that manner, you may gain energy to your solar plexus, but you've lost energy, the same energy from your root chakra at the same time. That is not a good exchange at all. That's why it's better to be in a meaningful relationship with somebody where there's an exchange of energy, where you build each other. But unfortunately, that thing is now in the minority. That occurrence is now in the minority. That doesn't happen very much anymore. You guys see where I'm going with this? And then you have people all over the world, systems of domination and control, trying to silence your voice. We don't want you to speak. You will get canceled if you speak. If you express your displeasure, at some of the policies we're putting in place, as an example, then you will get canceled, and so you fear. And so you lose energy in your throat, you lose energy in your heart, you lose energy in your solar plexus because you're frightened. Do you see how that works? Amira, over to you.
Absolutely. So just following along the examples you were making, if there's somebody that has a narcissistic personality,
yes,
you would see that, for example, the root and the solar plexus are inflated, but then the heart is very badly degenerated. Mm-hmm. So if you have the ability to perceive these energy centers in people, you can take one look and find out if they're of a energy harvesting nature or not, or if they're being harvested. So the act of harvesting energy is theft by all the definitions. Theft is an overstepping of another being's free will. Mm-hmm. This action, whether knowing or unknowing, will damage the heart. The heart is our connection to the divine. And by every act of theft and overstepping free will, slowly, the heart becomes weaker. Not the mechanical organ, but that energy center, that flavor of energy that is divine, that is unconditional love, that goes away. Gets to a point where certain people, their heart is actually dead. What that means is their connection to the divine is gone. And unless they seriously put in effort to reignite that spark, it will remain off. That kind of a person then becomes a psychopath. And this can be seen again in how psychopaths are made. Looking at the scientific understanding of it, there's a genetic component and also a component of trauma during childhood. Mm-hmm. So a child being at a very vulnerable stage, traumatic event can kill the heart. If the trauma is great enough, and then it does not reignite, they grow up into a psychopath. They don't feel at all. That feeling of compassion and love is greatly attenuated. So there are correspondences between certain energies, conscious energies, like cruelty, like violence and aggression, like barbarity, being unkind, These have effects on certain points of in the body, the energy system, the energy vortices, i.e. the chakras. But the good news is that there's always a way. When there's a will, there is a way. Now, you may look at the other side of this energy harvesting dynamic, somebody who is being harvested. Well, we mentioned that it has a correspondence with the hormones, the glands that produce the hormones in the body. So somebody who is harvested may have physical imbalances like obesity, like high blood pressure, like malfunctions in the digestive system, malfunctions in the cardiovascular system. The diet is good, they're eating healthy, they're trying to work out, they're drinking good water, breathing clear air, and so on. So that whole thing, that the raw materials, the nutrients are there, but the body malfunctions, and it can manifest in many nasty ways. For example, cancer. In cancer being the energy of suppressed anger. If you're angry, find a healthy way to release it. Don't keep it in, because it's going to mess with the genetic structure of your body. So all these things do really align in a, for lack of a better word, in a holistic way. So there are many examples of this being a true thing, a real thing.
You want to know what the major example that I have for the people here? Let me ask the audience a very simple question. You remember when you were younger? For those of you who are younger and over the age of 15, and you were able to read entire novels and be immersed in that book. You remember those times? You remember those times when you could watch an hour-long broadcast like this with your awareness on that thing for an entire hour, and nowadays you can't? Would you like to know what might have happened to you? The hook has been placed into your mind, your connection with the Godhead, all puns intended. And so your connection, intellectual, analytical with the divine, has been severed or seriously curtailed. And so you can't maintain focus. You can't maintain the top two chakras has been cut off or restricted by social media with their little bite-sized information. So a whole bunch of people, let me explain something to you that was said by Henry Coonrath. It is improper to think that you know a book by reading a few pages. It is improper to think that you know a book by reading a few pages. So if I did a TikTok video on the chakras, which is about what? How long is a TikTok? A minute and a half? Do not think that you know about the chakras by listening to my minute and a half video. Seriously. Okay, so you guys, if you got to this level at that of the broadcast, to this timestamp at the broadcast, and you're hearing what I'm saying to you, your mind has been harvested by legacy media and social media, trying to give you bite-sized pieces of information, getting you used to only bite-sized pieces of information, and you can no longer ingest major information that will make the information part of your DNA. So we have a whole bunch of people walking around with halfway knowledge. It isn't mapped onto the DNA system. It isn't. We have practitioners, we have healers walking around with weekend course knowledge. Even if I got a certificate in a weekend course, I would practice and practice and practice and make it part of what I know, who I am, etc. But we don't have that anymore. We have people who have the halfway knowledge, the bite-sized knowledge, thinking that they've read the whole book. And so that is the greatest sadness that I see in this society. We have people who don't have the attention span to be that thing. They want to talk about it, but they don't want to be about it. You see, because to be about it requires kung fu. And what that translates to, literally and figuratively, is time and energy and effort. Do you understand that? For those of you who have gotten to this timestamp and your minds have not been lulled, or you've been distracted by the next TikTok, the next Facebook video, if you're not scrolling as an example, this is exactly what we want to talk about, because this is tips and tricks, and we're trying to show you that your ability, that gateway inside the air to expand and let the download in, to let the torrent in, not have a little pee hole where you're only letting TikTok videos and Snapchat videos through your brain. Let's open it up and let the whole download come through. And this is what we are promoting here. Because if you know that you have a short attention span and so on, believe me when I tell you, it is in your best interest. It's in the best interest of your chakra system to open all of them, let them roll and let them turn. Because that's what chakra is, wheel. It means that there has to be activity. Amir, over to you.
Absolutely, David. Thank you so much. A beautiful explanation. So when these, let's call them discrete centers of energy, although it's a continuous spectrum incorporating all energies in a certain interval, but let's just look at them for sake of practicality as different vortices, different chakras. When they are underactive, when they're not functioning at their full potential, that aspect that is related to them does not manifest in the body, in the everyday existence. Example, crown chakra, underactive, low attention span, lack of focus, lack of concentration, poor retention of information, anything that is related to your cognitive abilities. Or let's go to the second one, the sacral chakra, creativity. We've all seen writers and artists going through creative blocks. Again, for some reason or the other, that center of energy has been slowed down. It is not functioning at its full potential. The other extreme is also true. Now, how do we bring these back up to healthy function and surpass what is normal average functionality? That would be through meditation. Meditation will open up ways for you to perceive what is wrong with these centers of energy by observing imbalances in daily existence. So it's all different aspects of the same cause problem. And then you can strengthen these energy centers. So for example, with meditation, your control over base nature, sexuality, and anger increases. You are in command of these very, very powerful instinctual forces. You become infinitely creative in a way that no artificial intelligence can ever reach, because we are the perfect machine. You become virtuous. You can love beyond any limitation or condition. You know and express truth beyond anything people have ever seen or you have ever experienced. You perceive and project reality powerfully. You have the knowingness connected to the universe. Your psychic skills increase. Mm-hmm. So like fixing weakness, imagine that you, goodness forbid, break a bone. Then the bone has to go in a cast. But then because the muscles are not used, atrophy occurs. Mm-hmm. The muscle becomes smaller. Guess what? Start working out with a good diet. In a few weeks, you're back to normal. Guess what? Continue working out. You'll surpass anything that's your baseline. The same thing is also true with your energy centers. So you can absolutely get rid of cords, energy harvesting. Absolutely. This is within your power. Do not doubt this for a moment. You have absolute control over your own being. But it requires that work, as David beautifully put, Kung Fu. If you're not willing to put in the work to enhance yourself, nobody else will, and you will not be enhanced. So if you think it's easy, there is no, unfortunately, this is the tragedy of human existence. Anything worthwhile requires significant effort. dare I say, hardship. But boy, oh boy, it's worth it.
Yeah. And so today we're going to introduce you to David and Amir's chakra balancing plan. So for those of you who have unbalanced chakras, or you suspect your chakras are off center, here are the things you're going to do over the next couple of weeks. Week 1, you're going to change your diet. Try for 1 week to eat natural raw food if you possibly can. You know, life-giving, pranic, supplying food. The concept of biogenesis is you support life with life. You support death with death. You understand what I'm saying to you? So you're going to get yourself some nice fruits and vegetables, as an example, with your meat or whatever else you're going to be eating, and you're going to add it to your diet. Why would you want to do that, David? That's boring food, because it gives you energy and it has the chemical constituents to support that body that you're walking around with. That's number 1. That's the first week. A whole month crash course, David and Amir's crash course on chakra dieting and so on. The second week, you're going to up your exercise. So I don't care if you don't have opportunity to exercise. You don't have to become, the next 100-meter sprint athlete. You don't. What it looks like is that if you're parking in a parking lot, you're going to park your car away from the entrance to the supermarket, and you're going to walk to that any way you could get your steps in. If you're gonna be doing anything like, I don't know, something that might benefit you is cleaning your house more, which means you got to lift furniture and move it out of the way and sweep underneath it. You're not sweeping around it. You're lifting the furniture and you're moving it out of the way. I'm not talking about joining a gym and lifting weights and, I don't know, doing pull-ups or CrossFit or any of that weird stuff. I'm talking about lifting things, cleaning your house, cleaning out your garage. Spring cleaning is happening in October. But that's what I'm talking about. Week 3, meditate. No, actually, you might want to start out from week 1. Meditate, meditate, meditate. It doesn't have to be anything outlandish. I don't care if you start with 5 minutes a day. Everybody wants to talk about meditation. Nobody wants to do it. And it shows when you don't do it. It shows. It really does show. For somebody who is not dense and is not a brick, it shows when you don't do it, because your connection and your ability to download and express information is neutered when you don't do it. So it really does show on the outside. So meditate, let it glow, let it shine, let it shine. What is it that song goes, that Christian song? Let the sun shine in, face it with a grin. Which will bring us to week 4. You're going to get with the happy. I don't care how you get with the happy. Getting with the happy might mean you're going to update your sex life. That might be getting with the happy. I don't care how you get with the happy. Get with the happy, which means that smiles, hugs, kisses, little hearts floating up to the ceiling, absolutely important. Start that from week 1. Forget about the weeks, actually. For the whole month, let's do all of these things.
None is more important than the other. Yeah,
No,
you got to do all of it.
You absolutely get your hugs and kisses in. I don't care if you go down to the toy store and get yourself a teddy. Hug that teddy. Let that endorphin release, serotonin release, inform that the glandular system is working. Your heart is like big. You have Teddy. You're hugging him. Little hearts are floating up to the ceiling. Little hearts are floating up to the ceiling. We want all of that. Meditate. Exercise, move. I don't care if you're dancing while you're doing the house cleaning. Get to moving. You guys are hearing me. If you did that alone, you have drastically increased your ability to balance your chakras. You have drastically increased your life expectancy. You have. And it's simple as that. So I like to make things simple, because whenever people say all of these things, they usually make it complicated. Go join a gym. Go see a dietitian, go see a nutritionist. I'm making it very simple for you. Eat some fruit and vegetables as close to raw as possible, or boiled or steamed or whatever the case may be. Add it to your meal. No more the bun, the burger, and the fries. Add some leaves in there. I don't care if you stick some lettuce in between, a little tomato slice or whatever else. I know some of y'all don't like tomato. Right, put avocado, do something, anything is a drop in the bucket of wellness. And that's why I say to you guys, this thing is not difficult. It absolutely isn't. You want to know why your parents before you, they smoked their entire lives up until 90 something years old, and not a day they were sick? They had the other things in, the little hearts floating up to the ceiling. They lived decent lives. And their idea of meditation was going to church on a Sunday and praying, kneeling down by their bedside and praying and being in connection with the divine, with their creator. They also didn't have a whole bunch of people trying to leech off of them as well, including social media and legacy media. That's why they lived that long with bad practices and so on. That's why they lived that long. They had the other things going for them. And that's my spiel, Amir. I guess I'm done with this discussion. The last word is yours as usual.
Thank you so much, David. So, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, our honored audience, what David has been recommending is absolutely powerful. I'd like to put all these beneficial activities in one general category, which is self-love. You see, you may think, okay, where does all the power come from in the chakra system? What animates the body? What heals disease? What is that force that lies at the foundation of all creation? Now, this is not some cheesy woo-woo garbage, hippie new age stuff. No. This is pure reality, the deepest knowledge that I have ever come across. That which motivates, that which animates, brings to life and creates is love. And if you do this for yourself, self-love first. Ladies and gentlemen, this is so important. We've become brainwashed into martyrdom, which is stupidity. First, love yourself. Be gentle to yourself. Give yourself. How come you buy the best pet food for your cat or dog? But when it comes to your own diet, you eat garbage. You don't buy fresh fruit and vegetables. How come you do that? If you love yourself as much as you love your children or your pets, you'll be better off. Another thing, David mentioned many different strategies of bringing in more of that which is beneficial to you. I'd like to now add one more final recommendation. Please get rid of that which does not serve you. This might be a person, this might be something, an idea, a job, or whatever. No job, no friend, no relative is worth dying for before it is your time. When you can potentially have an incredible, beautiful, profound life. Don't do that to yourself. Screw whatever job that is, or whatever person or relationship or idea, whatever it is that's draining you. Please remember you are in control. Take control. Say, hey, me first. Me. This is not being insufficiently selfish. It is being extremely selfish. Selfish that everything in the universe is me. I need to take care of this beautiful, sacred, divine me. And then that love, let it overflow upon everyone and everything. Don't neglect yourself. Love yourself. That is a good remedy for health. It'll fix the chakras. It'll fix the body. It'll fix a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the self-sacrificing mothers out there who don't have enough time to even go to the bathroom. Did you hear what Amerda said? You heard what he said. Well, guys, this has been our show for today. Let us know what you think. Oh, by the way, we're releasing our course in spirituality this week. And so you guys are going to be able to sign up for this course. We have payment plans available for those of you, so let money not be an issue. We are putting that out there. And inside that, we also have an option that you guys can absolutely do just the live classes. We have a pricing option for that as well. But you guys will be seeing this on social media very soon. We really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Take care.